Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be playing the last two Star Spirits. I forget what chapters those would be of Paper Mario.
Chapter 6 and 7.
You know, that would make sense, but I couldn't commit. I was sure I was wrong.
It's really not a huge amount of prep work.
To update my notes one time, my notes say we'll be playing the first part of Paper Mario. I haven't updated it the entire time.
Professional, ladies and gentlemen.
That's us. But yeah, before we start talking about chapters 6 and 7, how was everyone's week?
My week was Hell Week.
Oh no!
But I have been playing a lot of Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and it is so much worse than stuff modern Square Enix makes. Square Enix during the late aughts was not great, in my opinion. They just weren't great at making most things during like the late aughts, early teens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still having fun with it. There are like over 100 of these little missions that you do, and you just like select them from a menu. Then you are dropped on a field and you fight a bunch of enemies and you get a materia or something, and then you're done. And it's fun to do that while listening to a podcast.
Nice. Yeah, they did that with the DS Kingdom Hearts at the same time, where it's just like, hey, you know these big sweeping stories we're used to? What if we gave you a menu instead? The to be fair,
excellent choice.
The menu game for Kingdom Hearts still makes me cry. It's really, really good. They actually are saying something with it being made out of a menu, but that's a big other. It's a big other thing when I've convinced Bernard to do a long cast of all of the Kingdom Hearts games.
That will never happen.
You might as well have just said, when I curse my friend to unspeakable torment.
Yeah, that's the one. You know how hard it was for us to write notes on the anime bullshit of .hack? Imagine writing the anime bullshit of Kingdom Hearts.
Honestly, I would be more concerned about just covering most of the game, which is just Disney movie plots, but worse. Just covering a couple of those each week. That would be so boring.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, my week was pretty cool. I got me and my partner some Kobo e-readers, which are way better than Kindle because they read comic books natively, and they also your screensaver is not an ad for some shitty book on Amazon. It is the cover of the book that you're currently reading, and that's just so nice.
That is nice.
It's the stupidest little small thing, but I love it so much.
With little bespoke devices like these, small things like that can make them spark more joy.
Mm-hmm. And so I got us the matching e-readers. Hers is the touchscreen. Mine is. It also has a touchscreen, but it has the page turn buttons because when I'm cuddled in bed wanting to read a book, I want to move none of my body except for the smallest muscle in my forearm to twitch my thumb to press the button. But we also got the Fable app. It's like a Twitter for books thing. And
excuse me?
Yes, that's how they market it. What it actually is it's a online book club facilitation software. And so you invite people all to be in your book club. You pick the book that you're going to do it. It will generate like different forum threads for each chapter so that if you're behind, you don't get spoiled and you can just talk about that chapter in that chapter and stuff like that. And it's really cool. And so I have I made one for me and Cass and turned off invites, so it would just be the two of us being able to read. And the first book we were reading is Vampire Science, the Eighth Doctor book. One of the ones that I mentioned last week that I was making into a pirate ebook copy. But so we put it on there, but because it doesn't have an ebook version, they couldn't just like scan the ebook to see what the chapters were. So it was only giving us a forum for before we start and after we finish. And I was looking for how to arbitrarily add my own or anything like that. And then the weirdest thing happened. Fable emailed me proactively and said, "Hey, the book you added, we couldn't find any chapter information for it. Can you send us a picture of the table of contents so we can get that added for you?" And this was at like 9:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I was like,
What?
oh my god. That was really cool that they reached out. Obviously, it was a robot that reached out at 9:30. But after I send this to them tonight, tomorrow when the humans come into work the next day, they'll get this done, and we can probably finish setting everything up tomorrow. Before I finish saying that, they email me back and go, "Awesome, cool. Refresh your app. Your chapters should be there." And then they were. It was proactive and fast at 9:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, and it was so cool. Like they completely won me over. I was kind of iffy on it. I'm still iffy on all the like social parts of it. I don't want to join a random person's book club, but using it for private book clubs is awesome. And they're really responsive in their customer service, and it wowed the shit out of me. And this is not an ad, but
I don't want to join a random person's book club who I don't know. Anyway, find RPG Book Club wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.
Anyway, that's really cool. This sounds neat.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Trish? How was your week?
Like up and down a bit. I'm trying to find a job, still, and that's stressful. And it just, finances and money is making me scared. And also, my wife is still out on a visit somewhere else, and so I miss her a lot. I have another partner here, but less social comparatively, and I just want to cuddle my wife. But she comes back tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. What I have been doing with my time, a couple things. One of which is I recently finished Dungeon Meshi, the manga, also known as Delicious in Dungeon, which is one of the rarest occasions where I'll just go, no, actually the Japanese title's better. I'll actually say that instead of what they're selling it as localized. If you don't know anything about Dungeon Meshi, it's really, really, really good. It's I trying to like describe it in a short way feels extremely difficult, but how about what if a manga about people who are doing like adventurers who are doing, dungeon delving, but it's also sort of like relaxing, like, oh, we're all gonna cook and eat food together. But what they're cooking and eating are monsters, and so it gets really in-depth into dungeon ecology and the biology of the monsters. And also the main character is just so autistic in the monsters are my hyperfixation sort of way. And he's just a delight. The whole cast are all delights. It's just so many great characters. Also, it's really gay. Just top to bottom, really gay. The artist also just has incredible character designs. A lot of really good body type diversity. Much better than you see from a lot of other manga. So just, all of those things going for it. And then also just by the end, it ends up telling like a really beautiful thematic story about like eating and life and expectations for how your life is going to go. And I don't know, it's great. If you haven't read it or don't know anything about it, I'd recommend checking it out. And if you prefer not manga, there is an anime currently airing. I think it's like 7 episodes in, animated by, of all people, Studio Trigger, aka kinda used to be Gainax. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but I plan on catching up. Really gorgeously animated, really strong adaptation, at least thus far. the voice, of course, I love dubs over subs, so I will just say the the English dub cast is fantastic. We've got several, couple trans people in the main cast, voice acting, and it's just, like they're able to sell the comedy of it really well, which I just realized I didn't mention. Dungeon Meshi is also one of its main genres is comedy, and it's very funny.
I did not realize the anime was by Studio Trigger. I don't think of cozy, nice things when I think of them.
No,
That's crazy. I love it.
it's so weird that they're the ones doing it. There's like one scene that's a flashback, and in that flashback it's like, oh, they went full Trigger on this. Like, it looks like something out of Kill la Kill for a second. With like, just like, when I say something out of Kill la Kill, I mean like something out of like the main character's best friend's family, where like Trigger / Gainax would do that thing of everyone just being like weirdly blobby and squishy, and the animation's really smooth, and you're like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, all of that's really good. I went through that with a friend of mine who we go through different things together. We go through pieces of, one of the people I like to watch and read things with. We also recently, we're currently caught up on Dimension 20, the current season, junior year of Fantasy High, which is stellar so far. Really interested in seeing where it goes from here. My favorite thing, this entire last episode was entirely devoted to downtime, and Brennan Lee Mulligan might have invented the most fascinating downtime mechanic I've ever seen. It's a really great way of getting across the feeling they're going for with this junior year of all of these kids have way too much stuff on their plate. They are loading themselves up with way too many responsibilities. They're going to burn themselves out. And they're just getting more and more stressed as they try to get everything done. And also, the school system is fucking bullshit. So that's great. I love it. Nice. And then, because I think it's at this point almost contractually required at least every other week for me to mention a Cosmere thing. Me and Adam, after finishing Dungeon Meshi, were like, okay, we've been going through Stormlight Archive together. I've been pulling them by the hand through it. We finished book 2 a while ago, so there's a novella between books 2 and 3. And we went to go to the novella Edge Dancer, and I was thinking maybe 2 or 3 reading sessions. We just burned through the entire thing in one go.
It's so good.
It's so good. Lift is the main
Lift
character.
Is the best.
Lift is the best. She's such a little grimy street urchin in the funniest way possible, with such a weird, bizarre way of seeing things. I love the narrative arc it takes her on. I love things it has to say. I love the revelations about the world it brings. Yeah, so that was just really fun. And that was my week.
Nice. It was action-packed for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are action-packed, let's listen to some music and then talk about Paper Mario.
We'll get to the action-packed part after we cover Flower Fields.
Yes.
Well, with the threat inside Mount Lava Lava taken care of, Mario is free to head back to Tone Town by riding on the back of a whale again. However, this time, doing so quickly reveals that someone has swam across the ocean chasing him, Junior Troopa. The young scamp arrives just as you're leaving, though, and is thus forced to swim all the way back to get to you. Doing so means that when the fight starts, he starts with half health because of all that swimming. And that's probably a good thing, because during this fight, he grows bat wings and a spike on his head, which means you're really limited in your ways to damage him. Once you fight off that fiendish foe, looking around Toad Town leads to some important news. Minty, who cares for the garden, has been contacted by a bulb from a place called Flower Fields, where Bowser's forces have begun wreaking havoc. The only way to get there yourself is to find 4 of those other bulbs and have them give you their magical seeds. Once they're all planted, a door will appear that takes you to Flower Fields. The first 3 are not that hard to find. One of them is in Toad Town, and if you hadn't seen and talked to them already, I'd be extremely surprised. There's one on Mount Russet back in Chapter 2, one in Forever Forest in Chapter 3, and the last one is on Lava Lava Island. However, that 4th one won't give you the seed if you talk to them before you finish the chapter, and after you finish the chapter, it turns out that they've already traded it to someone. Who? Colorado. And while he doesn't really care about this magic seed, he's not going to give it to you unless you give him the treasure that was in the volcano that he was so interested in finding. Now, how he got to the seed without noticing the chest for the artifact, which is literally between Yoshi Village and that bulb, I don't know. Maybe he just sucks at his job.
He hasn't done anything to suggest he's very smart.
No.
He is not. Anyway, with the 4th magical seed, you'd have it planted, summoning the doorway to Flower Fields, beginning Chapter 6, Dark Days in Flower Fields. As the name implies, Flower Fields is a realm focused on plant life, with the door being integrated into the body of a massive tree, the wise Wisterwood, who is kind of in charge of the place. They're all in dire straits because of Bowser's local enforcer, Huff and Puff, who has blanketed this sky with clouds, and without that sunlight, the floral residents are doomed. The only way to get up there to beat him would be to, do something like grow a massive beanstalk or something, and so you had best start by finding a seed. Despite having 6 branching paths from the starting zone, Flower Fields is pretty linear, at least to start with, as many of those paths are currently impassable, requiring specific items to be fed to specific flowers in order to get past. For now, you just have to head towards Petunia, a flower spirit who hoards seeds without ever letting them grow. Her root system is being menaced by Monty Moles, so you have to take them all out to help her, after which she happily hands you the magical bean, with no clue that you're planning on using it to actually grow it, instead of, just keeping it in your pocket or something. Area also has a tree for red berries, which lets you get past the red flower guard, towards where Posy is, who will give you fertile soil that you need to grow the bean in, for free. She doesn't ask you for a favor or make you do a trade or anything. A wonderful respite compared to the rest of this chapter. You also can grab a yellow berry, which will let you down the path to see Lily, who is very distressed because all of the water from her pond is gone, and as a lily, she sorta needs that to live. To help her, you have to retrieve her water stone, which does not evolve her into a different Pokemon, but does replenish the water supply. Using the blueberries on the path to Lily, you can head to a hedge maze, and you are immediately attacked by some Lakitus.
I hate this hedge maze so much. I hate it.
So bad.
I don't know why I can't navigate it, but I can never remember how to get through it.
I luckily remembered, but it is annoying.
Because, it's just a carpet of hedge, and there's raised parts and lower parts, but those don't correspond to where you can walk.
Mm-hmm. They're early on. It seems like, so the lower parts are intersections, and the higher parts are paths or whatever. And it's like, yeah, except when actually, there's a secret way through the high parts that it doesn't tell you about.
Mm-hmm.
There is no visual clue. You just gotta fuck around and find out. Anyway, taking those Lakitus out and navigating this maze, you reach Rosie, a very vain flower spirit who has the water stone, but evidently Lily will die without it isn't enough to make her hand it over. Instead, you have to trade her something that is equally beautiful, because beauty is all she cares about. Going back to see Posy, who's connected to a crystal tree that grows beautiful crystal berries, you can convince her to give one up for the hope of saving Lily's life, and she happily does so, because evidently, not all of these flowers are huge assholes. Seriously, is Posy the only nice one here?
I think Petunia was okay, but...
Petunia was okay, but she does have that weird thing of just yes, I only care about hoarding seeds, and I'm giving you this one because you helped me out. But I feel like she wouldn't have given it to you if you said I was going to grow it, because apparently she really hates the idea of seeds growing into flowers, which is weird.
It says it takes away their freedom. They can go anywhere as a seed, but once they're planted, they can't move for the rest of their life.
These flowers are weirdos. I
They
don't
really
I
are.
don't like them.
That's not even getting into the weird-looking one in the central area who just lies to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he does.
He gives you good hints
Yeah, if you
by
just do...
lying to you.
Yeah, you just have to do not what he says. Taking the crystal berry to Rosie, she does the trade, so you can take the water stone to Lily, who returns the waters, and in return she gives you miracle water, which is great for making a seed grow quickly. So you've got the bean, the soil, and the water it needs to grow, but you don't have any sunlight, or at least not enough for the task at hand.
If this all has sounded tedious, it is.
It is. With the water back, you can use sushi to reach a special tree that grows bubble berries, which if you feed to the right plant, lets it blow out bubbles that you can use to ride across a spiky expanse. Navigating through that area, you arrive to a tower that goes up and up and up, and at its top is the sun. Yes, the sun. He's
The
just
literal sun.
there and alive, and only slightly larger than Mario. See, he was forced out of the sky by Huff and Puff's Puff Puff machine, and he can only return back to his place if it's destroyed. I almost said it with a straight face. I almost said it. So obviously we have to go do that somehow. On the way back to the central area of Flower Fields, Mario is accosted by another Lakitu. This one has sunglasses. His name is Lackluster. No, wait, it's Michael. No, wait, it's Spike. Damn, this guy is going through names like a freshly cracked egg, desperately trying to find one that sticks. Anyway, after beating him, his girlfriend, Lackalulu, shows up, begging Mario not to hurt him anymore, and when it turns out Lackluster here isn't actually that keen on working with Huff and Puff, you're able to forgive him and add him to the party as the last member. Out of battle, Lackluster lets you ride on his cloud, which is faster than normal movement and protects you from ground hazards, and in battle, he can do a Spiny Surge move that will hit all enemies on the screen. I'm sure that won't be extremely useful in this chapter. Using that nifty cloud riding, Mario can solve the colored switch puzzle that's been sitting in one of the paths this whole time and not letting you go past it, which allows you to get to the Puff Puff machine. There are a bunch of
Did y'all ever try really hard to solve this puzzle without Lackluster?
Yes.
Not realizing you weren't able to solve it yet? Yeah.
Yeah,
because you can like almost reach it and then there's other things that you can almost reach here because they're Metroidvania-ing our next superpower we get in a little bit. And so it's like, oh, you can't reach this block. You better come back here and see what you can do when you can jump higher, which makes me think like I was supposed to be able to jump higher here somewhere. I was like, why can't I do it? What am I doing wrong? And it was not following the critical path. That's what I was doing wrong.
There's a bunch of baddies sitting there protecting the Puff Puff machine, and if you start to smash it, they'll start a fight with you. Once you take them down, you're able to smash the machine to bits, clearing the sky so the sun can return. This cheers up everyone, but Huff and Puff is still up there in the clouds guarding the Star Spirit, and he could cause more trouble later if he's not stopped, so you gotta go thrash him. Using the items that they've given you thus far, Mario grows a giant beanstalk and with it ascends into the clouds, where he can confront Huff and Puff. This massive cloud guy evidently would have done this entire plan even without Bowser's help, and because of how Mario has foiled that scheme, Huff and Puff wants to kick his ass for personal reasons, let alone the whole guarding a Star Spirit thing. The difficult thing about this boss fight is that every time you damage Huff and Puff, that much HP worth of Tough Puffs split off from him, and unless you defeat them, they can damage you, or worse, be reabsorbed into Huff and Puff to give him back all the HP you took away. Luckily, you did just get a partner who can hit everyone on the screen for enough damage to take out those Tough Puffs, so
or only 4 flower points. Everyone else's all move is 6 or 8. His is only 4.
The fight is still hard, though.
Oh, it's quite hard. Especially if you go in thinking, there's going to be a bunch of enemies? Well, I can also save FP if I have, a weapon, an item that will hit everything, like a Thunder Rage. Nope! Tough Puffs are immune to thunder damage.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't try thunder thing specifically. I think I used a star.
Yeah, shooting star is much better because shooting star is like unblockable 6 damage. It's the best item to do damage in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a kid, I tried Thunder Rage, and it didn't work, and it infuriated me. Once you take care of the evil Cloud Man, you free Clevar, which means it is time for the next Peach section. Though, before that, in the end of chapter narration, there's some foreshadowing, as the narrator mentions that Cammy is actually planning for Mario to succeed in his task of freeing all the Star Spirits. What does that mean? Well, let's find out with Peach. Now that she has the sneaky parasol, she can disguise herself as a guard and freely explore, kinda. To get up to where Cammy is plotting, you'll have to find and disguise yourself as a Clubba who's supposed to be on guard duty, but is currently fast asleep. Doing that lets you ascend up and up and up until you reach Cammy herself, who mentions that at this point, it's just prudent to take some steps just in case Mario does save all the Star Spirits. But before we can find out what any of that is, she smells the niceness radiating off of Peach, and then dispels the illusion off her and sends her back to her room.
I want to say something funny that happened to me during this segment. This actually happened when I played the game a couple months ago. So when you escape your room the normal way, there are 2 guards just standing there chatting, so you can easily copy one of them with the parasol.
Yeah.
But I was just walking around later in that segment, and I accidentally hit the B button or something, and that makes her turn back to normal. So I was like, oh shit. So I ran up behind a guard and pressed the B button again to copy him, but he turned around like on the same frame that I was copying him. So I turned into him and he spotted me at the same time. So I got the being thrown back into Peach's room cutscene, but it still had the Koopa Troll sprite.
Oh, that's funny.
It was really weird.
That's so weird. Back with Mario, Clevar gives the star move Time Out, which is basically like the stopwatch item and immobilizes enemies for a few turns. I've never used it before. Going back to Toad Town, you learn that someone wants to speak to Mario in Merlin's place, and that someone is a Ninji from Starborn Valley. Now, this might shock you, but that's the place where stars are born.
Whoa.
Anyway, Merlin's son lives there and needs to go see Mario, but the pipe there is in the sewers and only accessible if you have the Ultra Boots. Luckily, Lackluster's Cloud Riding is just what you need to get them, since they're also hidden in the sewers, so you can go grab the new footwear and then head off to Shiver City, beginning Chapter 7, A Star Spirit on Ice. I'll also say, if you wanted to make that Huff and Puff fight easier, you can just leave Flower Fields and get the Ultra Boots, and then then finish the chapter with them. It does help quite a bit. And I used to think that was actually required for some reason in order to get to the Huff and Puff machine, or the Puff Muff machine. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I thought that, but I did think that. Because there is just a point, like we said, the Flower Fields bit is just very convoluted. It's so much backtracking, going back and forth. And there are points where if you're not using a walkthrough, or if you're not you could easily just be like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Shiver City is a frozen little burg full of penguins. And as you're about to find out, those penguins are very silly. They won't let you head out towards the Starborn Valley, because evidently a monster's been scaring folks lately, so you have to go get permission from the mayor first. But heading into his house, you find the mayor is dead. His wife enters, aghast, calling for law enforcement. There's been a penguin murder mystery! Mario is quickly fingered as the culprit, with the wife lying about the situation to make Mario sound more suspicious than he is. The penguin in charge isn't completely sure and gives Mario the chance to prove his innocence, but will not let him leave town. You literally can't even go back to Toad Town now. So you do that. A note on the body mentions someone named Herringway, a famous murder mystery novelist. You have to break the ice in the pond so you can use Sushi to swim down and get the key at the bottom, which opens up the warehouse, and from the roof of the warehouse you can get to the otherwise inaccessible second floor of the building next door, Herringway's home. Telling the author about the situation, he heads with you to clear things up, only for him to be suspected now, under the logic that the victim wrote down the killer's name before dying, so it has to be him. Also, the investigator is just immediately like, clearly, you, the murder mystery novelist, you, all the plots you write, you're actually a serial killer. You actually do them all. Also, the wife is still sure that it's Mario? But Herringway tries to defend himself, making it clear that he and the mayor are very good friends and there's no motive. At which point, the corpse twitches and it turns out the mayor was never dead, just knocked unconscious because he tried to grab a gift off a high shelf. The gift is for Herringway because it's his birthday. That entire farce dealt with, the mayor gives you permission to head to Starborn Valley, but that's a little more difficult when you are immediately accosted by Junior Troopa again.
Oh, no. Already.
This little scamp.
Yeah, this time he decided not to jump you at the end of an odd-numbered chapter, but at the beginning of an odd-numbered chapter. And worse, this time he has magic powers. He only knows one spell, but that spell hits you for 8 damage, so, not bad for something he got from mail order. After you beat him, you're free to continue. After navigating some difficult enemies and passing a strange wall of snowmen, you are, in fact, confronted by the scary creature everyone in town was talking about, Monstar. He is very spooky and scary, but, as it turns out, he only does 1 damage when he attacks, no matter how impressive the animation is, so he's a pushover. Which makes sense.
I found the extremely crazy animation that does 1 damage to be the funniest thing I'd ever seen when I was a kid.
It's really good. Anyway, it makes sense that he's a pushover because it turns out Monstar is actually just a bunch of star kids in a trench coat pretending to be a scary monster, using intimidation to try to protect Starborn Valley. The confusion is quickly cleared up, and you're able to enter the valley where the wishes come true. Merle, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce his name? Merlin's son, explains that the nearby Crystal Palace, once a place where people revered the star spirits, is now where the last of their number is being held. The only problem is, no one remembers how to get there. The secret has been lost in ages past. But he does have one of 2 items, passed down through the generations. The keys to getting to the frozen abode, and the mayor from Shiver City has the other. Those items? A scarf and a bucket. Yeah, see, you have to take them to that wall of snowmen I mentioned earlier, and you give the items to the snowmen that are missing those things, at which point they come alive and move aside, revealing the way to the palace. The way up requires you to navigate some puzzles and traps, as well as a bit where using Cooper leads to 2 Coopers returning, one of whom is an enemy Duplighost. But to make the stairs appear that go up to the palace, you have to go into a hidden chamber, past an illusory wall, and speak to a dead woman, an ancestor of Merlin's, named Madame Merlar, who tells you this whole story of this palace and her people, and Mario sleeps through it all again. So we don't know what it is. But that's fine, because she also gives you the Starstone, which you can use to make the stairs appear that take you to the palace. The Crystal Palace is a very puzzle-heavy dungeon, its major theme being reflections and mirrors. The entire place has 2 sides to it, which at first only appears to be a reflection of where you're entering, but as it turns out, no, you can travel between the 2, and you do that to solve puzzles and make progress. You also deal with more Duplighost shenanigans, first with using Bombette, leading to her getting 4 imposters, all of whom look right but speak wrong, and then with Cooper again, who... Wow, these Duplighosts phoned it in. They look like Goomba, Koopa Koot, Colorado, and Luigi. It's a really good joke.
And it's so fucking funny that they speak like the characters that they are imitating, even though they claim to be imitating Cooper. Like, the one who looks like Luigi is like, I'm the real Cooper, brother. It's extremely funny.
Ugh. Gosh. Anyway, you handle all of those situations, you do all the puzzles, and you reach the Crystal King, who has barely been mentioned up to this point and has no lore to him or anything. He's just this dude with magic, and he's really tough to fight.
Yeah.
He starts the fight with summoning these ice spirits, which he then uses as fuel for a devastating attack, and even if you take them out, he can just resummon them for his turn. Oh, but that's not all. He can also do a mirror image sort of spell, where you have to pick which one of them is the real him. He can do a freezing attack that if you don't block, and the timing on that is a bitch.
It's a bitch.
It's so bad. Will take you out of the fight for several turns, which in this fight, if you don't have enough health, could just kill you. Because you can't.
I do not have the badge that lets your partner use items, so I just had to hope, and that was as good as I could get.
I should also say, when you're frozen or stuff like that in this game, you can't block attacks. You just take full damage. And then, of course, his last spell is heal himself for 20 HP. Eventually, though, you are able to take him down, and doing so frees the last star spirit, Kalmar, who gives Mario the star move Up and Away, which just sort of defeats all the enemies in the fight. Like, it turns them all into stars. You don't get star points for it, but, like, you know, it's just an instant, no, I don't want to do this fight. Anyway, back to Peach, who is on a balcony, and worrying if anything she has done thus far has been helpful in the slightest. Then Bowser comes in, and when Peach doesn't take that well, he calls her a pill. Peach gets pouty, and then Cammy arrives and calls Bowser your raunchiness? Anyway, she's there to give the news. Mario has rescued the last star spirit, he's going to be coming, and because of that, preparations have to be made. So Peach is all tied up with rope. Twink tries to intervene, unable to hide any longer, but Bowser just punts him out a window, and we finish the last Peach section there. All that's left to do is climb Shooting Star Summit, reach Star Haven, invade the castles, and save the world. And we're going to do all of that next week.
Awesome. So yeah, let's listen to some more Paper Mario music and then talk about our memorable moments.
I have to start by asking a question. Did either of you defeat an Amazing Daisy?
Yes.
Yay! Me too!
I had to do something weird to defeat it. What was it? I can't remember, but I had to do something weird. It was hard.
Yeah, to explain, Amazing Daisies are these cute little flower enemies that sing at you to hurt you and will easily run away from a fight, but occasionally, at random, instead of a Amazing Daisy spawning on the screen, those are not Amazing Daisies. I can't remember what the regular
Crazy Daisies.
Crazy Daisies are the regular one. Amazing Daisies are a special golden variant. They're like metal slimes. They have 20 health, and their attack deals 20 damage. The most damage of any attack in this entire game.
Oh, yeah. What I had to do was I had to get one down to low health and then use a bow to hide from that attack, and then I could attack it. And I was like reloading a save state to make it do that attack instead of run away.
Yeah, because anyway. I feel like there's like about an 80% chance on its turn of running away and only like a 20% chance of it actually attacking. It's much more likely just run away first turn, so you might just have one turn to beat it. But if you do, it gives you a ton of star points. So yeah, 100% is just like a metal slime kind of enemy, which I love those. Those are neat. Also in Flower Fields, I do want to call out the, I think they're called the Bzzz or something like that. They're the little bees or
Mhm.
wasps. I just think they're interesting enemy design because
Yes.
this is chapter 6, and they have 3 health.
Mhm.
They're so easy to kill, but they do, I think, 5 or 6 damage when they hit you.
I think 6.
It's 6 damage, and like it's not easy to block. The timing on it is a little funky. And I just think that's a really fun, like, it's just easy to be like, oh, every chapter, let's increase the HP by this much, let's increase all the other stats like this. Like, and like you fuddle it around depending on the thing. But having a kind of enemy that's just like, listen, you can take these out in one hit, but there's going to be enough of them on in each fight that, like, you better take them out quickly because they're going to wreck your shit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them, and it made me change up my badges. I put on the badge that lets you jump on each enemy on the field once, so that I could take out all of the whatever they're called,
Yeah.
all in one turn, while still doing some damage to the other enemies, so that I wouldn't get hit by those nasty attacks.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, in general, Flower Fields is really frustrating in terms of the pacing and the navigation and everything, but, like, the enemy design, I think, is some of the best in the game. Like, they're really good. Chapter 7s are also good, but they're also, like, good in a way that's kind of frustrating.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find the battles with the Duplighosts to not be very interesting.
Yeah, they just have too much health.
But I really like the Crystal Palace as a dungeon.
Oh, it's
I
great!
think the puzzles are really fun. I like how there's one part where you have to drop Bombette near a switch, then go and run and get on the platform that's going to spin around, because it's not a way you've had to use Bombette this whole time.
Yeah, like, this is the only chapter of the main 7 chapters of the game that doesn't give you a partner. And so this really feels like them going, hey, we're going to do stuff to make you use all the partners you've gotten across the game. Like,
Mhm.
here's a challenge that you need to really be, using everyone for. And it does a good job at that. And it's also just, like, the atmosphere is really cool.
Yeah.
One of the things I really liked about the Crystal Palace dungeon is on the way in, there are treasures like in the wall that if you take them out, a wall falls down, but you can put any item back in it, so you can get rid of all of the crap that you've probably accumulated. So yeah, you have to put you can put like your trash that you've accumulated in it and swap out to get the good items. But the walls fall to block your path to the palace. So on your way out of the palace, you can take all your stuff back, which I think is just really cool. It's like you can just steal it back because you don't care that the door closes behind you. Who gives a shit? You're done with that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool mechanic. And also they give you a trash item that's just a pebble. That is like, it feels like they give you this just so you can swap it out for a good item.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of trash items, they also give you a potato the first time you go to the Toad House. Did you go to the Toad House for a second time in this in chapter 7?
Yeah.
You get like 50 freaking mushrooms just for free.
Yeah, it's really
you
neat.
get 4 mushrooms and an ultra shroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. There's actually, I don't think it's the second time. It's like a random chance every time you stay there, but it is like a really cool little secret thing.
Yeah. It came in handy when I was fighting one of the optional bosses, because I didn't want to take no for an answer and wanted to fight one of the optional bosses.
Fun fact, there's a hidden badge in Shiver City where there is a house where you can climb on the furniture to get out the window and then use that to get into a house that has no door. And then in there is a badge. Most people don't know this because it's just one of those attack sound effect badges that don't do anything except change the sound effect of your attacks. I learned that previously, though, because, again, I was playing randomizer, so it's a check. Also, speaking of, like, items and stuff, I suppose a fun thing about this game that we haven't really brought up here is now that we've been to all the different shops in all the different places, items cost, like, there's a bunch of duplicate items in multiple different shops, but they cost different amounts in different places, and also items have different sell amounts depending on what store you're in.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, and to the point where it is possible to, if I remember correctly, there's some items where you can do something like, if you go to, like, say, so Dry Desert, the Dry Outpost, fire flowers are really cheap, because who gives a crap about fire flowers? You know, it's really hot there. So you can buy fire flowers and then take them to Shiver City where they sell for the most because they need them. And you can make a profit doing that. There's no reason to do that because, like, there's so many ways to make coins in this game and the profit is so minimal. But you can do that. And I just think that's really fun and neat. Like, it's, cause like, how many games is it where it's like, oh yes, all items are like, it's like if you have like a really crappy dungeon master in D&D, where it's like, all items are price it says in the book. How much can you sell the ones you have for? Like, 70% of that. And it's like, okay, that's really boring. Like, that's not how anything works, but okay.
Yeah. Speaking of coins, I, at one point in this chapter, had like 700 coins, a whole lot, and I found Rip Cheeto in the in the sewers, where for 64 coins he will give you an item, and the items get progressively better until they get progressively worse. And so get out when you see the second star piece, because if you keep going, it ends on a dry mushroom. the
actually
mushroom that gives you 1 HP.
Actually, it goes Star Piece, Life Shroom, Bump Attack Badge, Repel Gel, Star Piece, Super Shroom, Mushroom, Dried Shroom, Star Piece. There's a third Star Piece.
There is a third Star Piece. I was going to bring it up. I'm trying to get them all, so I did have to. The 10th item, so 640 coins, eventually gets you to a Star Piece. But after the 10th item, it's just all dry shrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. I gave up too soon.
You gave up too soon.
No, you gotta trust the sunk cost.
At least he's at least he's better than Chet Rippo, than Chet Rippo, who is like you give him a bunch of money and he can just like adjust your levels, which is like okay, I guess, but I don't feel like I need that.
Doesn't he raise one stat that you ask him to raise, but then lower both of your other stats?
Oh god, I think he might actually. Wait, let me see.
In Paper Mario, the player can have him upgrade one of Mario's stats by 2 levels while downgrading the others by 1 level. So okay, so it is
it evens out, but it's still that's still a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
Have either of y'all hit one of the level caps yet?
I've hit 2 of the level caps. I have max BP, max FP, and I just now have 20 HP as my max HP.
Oh my gosh. I have
doing some of these bosses with 20 HP is really hard.
I imagine.
Fighting the Amazy Daisy with 15.
Oh my gosh. I have max BP, but I have been distributing my HP and FP more evenly than Trish has, so I've not hit the max for either of those.
Yeah, I have max BP. I went after I got my ass kicked a lot last week. On Thursday, I just went and did all of the side quests, get all of the star pieces to get a lot of stuff to make my life easier, and I finally caught up. And the game is appropriately hard now instead of stupid hard for no reason.
Yeah, I've just switched up my bad strategy a little bit right now, so where I have maxed out my damage, which before I was like doing my jump attack did 6 damage twice, so 12 damage if they had no defense. But then I decided I got in the Crystal Palace, if you go the right ways, you can get a power up defense down badge and a defense up power down badge. So I'm using the power up defense down. I took off my badge that increases my defense. So I technically have now -1 defense if I don't guard. But I do have 2 damage dodges to increase my thing. So I have low health, it's really easy for me to take damage, but that means I also put on all the Danger Mario badges that give me buffs if I'm in danger. So now, before I get to danger, I do 7 damage on a jump, and when I hit danger, it'll be 9 twice.
Nice.
I'm just making the most silly, ridiculous builds I can, honestly.
I love that this game has such potential. If you want to be a sicko, you can do that.
Bernard, you'll be proud of me. My current build loadout involves buffing Mario. I'm
Whoa!
using a buff spell. You heard it here first, folks.
What?
But yeah, so you get the
From
charge.
what?
You get your charge jump. No, Watt is part of it, but you charge jump, which stacks infinitely. So you can
yeah, yeah, it does.
I just load it up while I have enough star power to like keep myself healed and stuff without actually having to use my turn and then use my jump. And then when I'm getting close, I will use Watt to buff me even more. And then I have the speed runner badge where it just keeps going if you time it good.
Oh, power
And
bounce.
yeah,
Oh no.
and so I do like 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10,
Oh my
9, 8
God.
damage. And it's so powerful and I love it. And there's been several times where like I'll go and I'll do my like 45 damage or something and they're still alive. I'm like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Okay, next turn, Watt is going to get some, go do a little bit of damage while I try to recover because I like you have to like put it all on black to do it this way. you have like no flower points, no star points at the end of this, and so I'm like, oh, what do I do? And then Watt goes and does 1 damage, and the boss dies. I'm like, oh, that was, whew, that was close.
That's a really fun strategy.
Mm.
Oh gosh, I love that. A fun fact about power bounces: it is definitely the speedrunner badge, but you should know, especially for bosses, there's actually a hard limit on power bounces. Like there's a point where it stops accepting your inputs to continue.
Really?
And that number it stops at is random. Like there's like ways that the parameter gets set on like, oh, it could be between 6 and 8 bounces or something, but it is random. So that's like you can't just power bounce forever. The game will not let you.
Yeah, you can in Super Mario RPG, which is the main time that you use this speedrunner badge because you're way underleveled to be able to do anything. So you just take 1 turn and beat the boss. It's a big hype moment at the GDQs.
Yeah. Fun side thing we didn't really mention because it's not part of the main plot, but after chapter 6, or not chapter 6, after chapter 5, when you get back to Toad Town, Colorado can't get home because a big bully of a Koopa named Kent C. Koopa has showed up and is making the path to Koopa Village a toll road. And so you can pay him, but that doesn't let Colorado by. And you have to pay him every time you want to get by him. So the only way to make it so Colorado can get home to his wife is to beat this optional boss. And if you don't know what you're doing, he's really hard.
Really, really hard.
He hits like a truck, and his defense is incredible. But if you use the sewers to go back to Koopa Village and talk to people, they'll talk about this guy, and they'll talk about he has a real weakness for like lullabies and things. Like his weakness is it's really easy to put him to sleep, and if you do, he's out for like 5 turns.
Oh wow.
So if you do that, he's not that hard.
I did it the hard way.
Congrats on doing it the hard way. You didn't need to.
Yeah, the only way I did it the hard way is because I had a power bounce that started with 16 HP.
Oh gosh. And then that another like small thing when it comes to side questy sort of stuff is during this part of the game, Goombaria and Goombama, Goombario's sister and mother, are in town shopping. and you can just like go talk to them with and without Gumbario for different dialogue. And I don't know, it's just really fun to just see like other characters from other parts of the game show up to like just like, oh yeah, oh no, this has nothing to do with the adventure or anything. They're just like living their lives.
Yeah, I like that they show up in Toad Town. It's neat.
It's neat.
I like how each chapter, a bunch of the NPCs just sort of move around, go to a different spot.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I had something else, but it's gone now. So
Oh no.
Bring it back.
okay, I'll try. Oh, I remember what it was. So on Thursday when
Oh
I
my
went,
god, it worked!
so on Thursday when I went and did all of the side quests, I was using a guide to find all of the star pieces. How did the devs intend you to find any of these fucking hidden panels?
Oh, answer.
There's
There's
a
a
badge.
badge.
I know there's a badge that tells you when you're on the screen with one.
Oh,
But those screens
you
are very big.
you just have to keep hitting your hammer to make it
Yeah, I was
sort of
gonna
pop
say,
up,
when
and
you-
it's gonna be real tedious.
When you get to the Ultra Hammer, instead of having to jump, you can just hammer, and it will not only like reveal it, but it'll also flip it if you hit it in the right spot.
But
yeah.
it's real annoying.
Oh, it's real annoying.
Because when I first got the badge, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go and get a couple star pieces with this," and so I put it on, and I was going around, and like all of the places that like there would be a grotto there in a Zelda game. There's nothing. There's just a dead end in Toad Town. Why not have it there? And the real one is like just on a random patch of the floor on the way into the forest or whatever, and it's so stupid on how I would have found them without looking at a guide and going to every single one.
What did you two think of the? I think my feelings were kind of made clear with how I described it in the recap. But how did you both feel about the penguin murder mystery?
It was hilarious.
I think it's delightfully silly. It's completely unnecessary, but if you think about it, the entire game is unnecessary, and games in general are unnecessary. The whole endeavor of art is unnecessary. So why should this penguin murder mystery being unnecessary be such a problem? I like it.
Me too. It's a fun diversion, and I think it makes this weird thing where it's like the first half of that chapter is like, oh, it's this fun little murder mystery. It's this purely social, dialogue driven thing, and then you get to Crystal Palace, which is basically just pure fighting and puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for like a weird half and half instead of like a lot of like Flower Fields is like a weird mix of both the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that reminds me of another thing that I wanted to bring up. So I played this game like as it came out a long time ago, and I have very like strong memories of it, but not like detailed memories of it. And I did not remember Flower Fields existing, but I remembered Lackluster and really liking Lackluster. But for some reason, I had him like in a cloud world, which like you go to a cloud world here that is one screen big and only has a boss in it. But for some reason, there was a whole dungeon in my memory, and so as I was doing the super long everything for Flower Fields, I was like, and this is the worst part, is this only the first half of the chapter, because most chapters have 2 dungeons. It's like, this is the first half. We still have to go to the cloud place. Now that I have Lackluster, I know there's the cloud place, so I go up there and I'm like, all right, let's do. Oh, it's the boss. We're done. Thank God.
Kid, like your memory can trick you like that. Like you can just completely misremember the way a game goes.
Yeah. Especially because it was so long ago. Like, I remember renting this from 49 and More Video Superstore that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I think I've mentioned before. I didn't own this game until I was a teenager, until like high school. As a kid, we rented this every Friday. My family would go to the video store, and we could rent. They did like a thing like 3 movies, 3 nights, $3 or something like that. Some kind of special deal. And so it was like, we could each pick out a thing. And for a while, I was picking out like one of the episodes of Goosebumps on VHS, and other silly, a bunch of things that I'm like, are stuck in my brain because I'm like, I distinctly remember this existing. I've seen no reference to it ever since I was a child, and I have no idea how to find it again. But when it comes to video games and N64 games, I rented Paper Mario every time I could. Like, I loved it so much. It was up there with Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century as my favorite N64 games to rent.
But yeah, anything else anyone wants to say before we wrap it up?
I've been just randomly clicking around the Mario wiki, looking at stuff on Paper Mario and stuff on Thousand Year Door, and man, even though everything's made of paper and stuff, the GameCube sure has better graphics than the N64.
Mm-hmm.
This
I'm excited
stuff
for
looks
that.
really good, and I mean, the Switch even has better graphics than the GameCube a bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
We should turn the podcast into a Paper Mario long cast, and let's just play all of them instead of just two.
Wait, all of them?
Yes.
Excuse me. I will sign on for 3 of them, and then I'll hit the eject button.
No, the ones that you're talking about are good, actually.
I will accept that they are fun and good games. I'm not going to accept that they're good Paper Mario games. I remember when people tricked me and they said, "Oh, Origami King is a return to form. It's more like the old ones." Then I played it. I was like, I guess. I mean, like, it's a little similar if I squint and I get drunk a little bit.
But yeah,
just Origami fans, but
no, I was talking about Sticker
Star. I know that you love
Clash.
Sticker Star.
I definitely have a blog post available on our website about how much I love Sticker Star. But yeah, speaking of that website, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us cover the cost of running the show and making it better and better. Cool things are going to be happening there, so very soon. I'm working on it, so keep an eye out on that space. If you want to set up a monthly donation, you also get some additional benefits. If you donate $1 or more a month, you get access to our bonus feed, where this week, me and Bernard are taking a break from Tales of Podcastia because the last game completely took it out of us. So we're starting another new sub-series called The Escape Pod, where we are playing through all of the Star Ocean games because we couldn't get that far away from Tales. We had to play the Square Enix Tales games. And yeah, I'm real excited because I'm a big Star Ocean nerd, and also I like starting new things, so I'm excited to play it. You also can access our polls to decide what game we play next on the main feed. But if you donate $5 or more a month, we'll also shout out your name at the end of every episode, just like this. Shouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Clear Time, Frost Terror, Dragon Slayer 19, Florist, Kaldron, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron524, and J4 Prime. And then finally, if you love us so much you donate $20 or more a month, you can also get me to say a sentence of your choosing to either plug something or just to make me say some certain words in a certain order. Shoutouts to El Tantifi, who wants you to check out aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. And then shoutouts to Vimk, who says, in Legend of Legaia, you can fight a bunch of bees for a honey item that gets you +4 to all stats, but if you talk to your sister in-game, she will take it from you. So if you do get those stats, don't talk to your sister. She'll take it and make a cake, and the cake's not as good. So, Fun fact about Legend of Legaia. And then finally, shoutouts to Carr, who is a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth. And he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish, and I'm also wondering what he's plugging my mouth with.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye. Sorry. That's a dumb joke.